Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Privacy Wizard today, and today, guys, we're gonna have another Zcash video today, explaining why Zcash is gonna shock the world. Okay, and this is gonna be a very fundamental based video today. We will take a quick look at the charts at the end, but very fundamental based video today and explaining why Zcash is the Trojan horse, right? Bitcoin is the Trojan horse, and Zcash is the soldiers inside getting ready to come into the real world. Okay, Bitcoin is the Trojan horse, Zcash is the soldiers. So we're gonna talk about that today. So the biggest thing that I see, guys, is the Zcash shielded supply. So the Zcash shielded supply, what this is the amount of Zcash that is shielded, okay, where you cannot see the transactions, you cannot see the amount of Zcash held, okay, in each individual thing. But this continues to go up month over month on average. Now, there's going to be weeks that it goes down, right? But if you take a look at where we are now, right, from 2024, you guys can see this chart just continues to rise, okay? Once again, there's weeks that you're going to kind of dip, right? But overall, the trend is up and to the right, okay? So Zcash shielded supply continues to rise. And if we actually look at this from a little more zoomed out view, you guys can see that this financial impact. So this was over here back in 2019, right? 2018, 2020, 2021, right? And you guys can see how much the shielded supply has risen and how much it continues to rise, okay? This is the fundamental driver, I think, of what is causing Zcash to go up. Now, I think price goes up for multiple different reasons, but when something is going up and the fundamentals are also going up, I think that is the ultimate sort of signal that the price is going to continue to rise over the long term, right? You're going to have pullbacks here and there on Zcash, just like Bitcoin had pullbacks here and there. But remember, Bitcoin's the Trojan horse, Zcash is the soldier inside. Okay, how these things develop over time is who's to be known, but really this is the thing that we're going to be continuing to watch every single day is the Zcash shielded supply continues to rise day after day, week after week, month after month. Okay, and as long as this continues to rise, the fundamentals remain strong of people shielding, they're basically buying Zcash and shielding it. Why is this bullish? Because the shielded supply of Zcash has a much less opportunity to be sold. Okay, people are shielding it because for whatever reason they're shielding it, right? That's the power of privacy, right? We don't know why they are, but they are, right? That's the power of privacy. So this is the main fundamental driver, and this is what we're continuing to watch video after video. As long as the Zcash shield supply continues to go up, I think you're obviously going to see price continue to go up. Okay, now over here, Jeremiah over here on X says it the best. He says Zcash is a relatively new coin compared to Bitcoin. Issuance is about 3 million coins less. Okay, so this is kind of a post comparing Bitcoin and Zcash on kind of where they're at based on an issuance basis. So he says when Bitcoin had the same issuance of coins as Zcash, it was trading at 14x higher price with 10x higher volume. Okay, so basically, when Bitcoin had the same issuance or was in the same part of its halving cycle, all right, Bitcoin was trading at 14 times higher price and at a 10x higher volume. Now, I think this is easily explained because all the way back when this was Bitcoin had much less competitors, right? There weren't as many altcoins, there weren't as many things going on in crypto, right? So Bitcoin had much less competition for basically buying pressure and volume pressure, whereas Zcash has an immense amount of competition now when it comes to transactions, really anything evolving around crypto. So that he says that 14x gap is a lot, but it's also more fair than comparing a mature ecosystem to still developing one. By the way, if these ratios hold exactly, it would apply a Zcash price of 5,350 in 7 years. I think that, and that's like 36% annual CAGR from here. I think that's kind of a sandbagged estimate here, simply because, like I said, Zcash has much more competition now, but that competition also comes as if the competition fails, there's going to be a big catch-up, right? There's going to be a big catch-up in price to what Bitcoin was at the same time period, all right? And also remember that Zcash just went, or is still in, approximately about, give or take, an approximate about 10-year or 11-year Wyckoff accumulation schematic that we'll take a look at the end of this video. But very interesting things to kind of see where Bitcoin is compared to Zcash at the same time period in its cycles. Next, right, we're going to talk about Zcash targeting post-quantum crypto milestone. Okay, so this is another driver why Zcash is climbing up. Right, not only does it have the privacy narrative, okay, which I think is the strongest narrative that it has, okay, as we continue to see governments try to tax the wealthy, more, right, they're going to be looking at ways to shield or have privacy in their financial, and everyone's going to look at, privacy in their financial aspects of their life. But more and more as you see governments try to tax the wealthy, and more laws get passed revolving, crypto and things of that nature, people are going to want to be private with this stuff. So biggest reason Zcash is going up is obviously the privacy, but this is another thing is the quantum fears. Okay. So big fear when it comes in the crypto industry. Quantum, taking over wallets, being able to hack through wallets. Zcash is targeting a post-quantum crypto, right? Milestone by 2027. So the privacy-focused cryptocurrency plans to launch a quantum recoverable wallet within a month as it outlines its roadmap. So this is a huge thing that Zcash is going for. Is it's really planning for the quantum takeover. Okay. Which I don't think a lot of cryptos are focusing on. And I think that's going to be the biggest downfall of a lot of these cryptocurrencies heading into the futures. They're not really focusing on the quantum aspect of crypto, right? The safety aspect, and instead of just, focusing on the pumpability of it, right? These are the two main things Zcash is going for, is the privacy and the quantum aspects of it. And I think this is going to continue just to make Zcash continue up in price over the long term. Once again, short term could have pullbacks. This is another one, right? You're starting to see Zcash actually have, right, for transfer method, right? So, Zcash being transferred, you're starting to actually see more Zcash being shielded Zcash being transferred than transparent Zcash, which you never really saw pre about, late last year, right about here. When you started to see actually shielded Zcash being transferred. Okay, you never really saw that before. So that is a huge trend. You went from basically zero to basically about 2/3 to 75% of the transactions being shielded in Zcash. Huge. This is what it is, guys. The fundamentals. As long as the fundamentals grow, we're talking about shield supply continues to grow. Okay, and we're talking about the shielded supply being the transfer method. So that's kind of what we got going on, guys, at the fundamentals. The fundamentals just continue to grow for Zcash. I think it's extremely exciting to be in Zcash. And if we just look at the chart's even more exciting, guys. What we have going on the chart is absolutely insane. We have basically since 2016, a 10-year Wyckoff accumulation schematic. Okay, 10 years of equal distribution, 10 years of people being able to buy Zcash at whatever price they want, which is very different than Bitcoin. As Bitcoin launched and, about 1 year later, it was already pumping up to the moon, right? So 10 years of equal distribution on Zcash here, okay? It could not be more perfect of a Wyckoff accumulation schematic, which we talked about a lot in the last video, guys. Take a look at my previous video if you guys want a little bit more, nuanced view on that. But man, just absolute craziness right now in the markets. And like I said, I think Zcash here is really primed. If I just fix the screen here, Zcash is really primed to benefit from just the privacy narrative and the quantum narrative, which is why I think we look at Zcash Bitcoin, you're seeing Zcash absolutely just outperform Bitcoin like crazy, right? You're seeing Bitcoin in a bear market, but really since Bitcoin's been in a bear market, Zcash has been in a bull market, right? You really don't see these typical outperformance and this typical inverse correlation very often. And there's usually some type of fundamental reason for that. And Zcash, I think we all know, anyone who's watching this video right now knows why we're seeing this fundamental change. And I think when we look at kind of the big targets for Zcash against Bitcoin, we have a target that's about 164% away. And we also have a target that is approximately about 1900% away, which obviously is very far, right? Nonetheless, when we take a look at Zcash Ethereum, look at Zcash versus Ethereum, guys, just absolutely blowing away in the span of about a year, okay? We've blown away pretty much 10 years of downtrend. And if we look at kind of that 1-to-1, right, 1.0, right, Zcash versus Ethereum, we're talking about still another 223% away. And at that point, you erase every downtrend that you've had since 2017 on Zcash versus Ethereum. Guys, this is happening fast. This is happening very, very fast. And anyone who's been accumulating Zcash, I think, is really about, you are in a life-changing asset here. Basically, in my opinion, Bitcoin with privacy and working on quantum resistance, okay? It's basically the better Bitcoin. I know Bitcoiners are going to get upset over that. I've been a huge Bitcoin advocate since I've been in crypto. And really what it is realizing that Bitcoin's not perfect. Bitcoin has flaws. And there is this asset right now that has solved a lot of Bitcoin's flaws, okay, that Satoshi's talked about in the past, that Hal Finney's talked about in the past, is that Bitcoin needs a privacy narrative. Bitcoin needs some type of privacy on it, okay? Zcash has solved that for the first time in 11 years, which is it's ZK technology. So, guys, this is really, I think, as we kind of sit here near the top of the range of the 11-year range, I really do think buying Zcash here at $657 is like buying Bitcoin back at $657 when we take all the way a look back in time. Okay, it's like buying Bitcoin all the way back at $657 all the way back here. Okay, I really do think it is the equivalent of that, and more people will start to realize that over time, and the price will just continue to reflect that. All right, so it's been your boy Privacy Wizard. This has been your Zcash video today. I'm going to continue to make multiple Zcash videos a week. So if you're a big Zcash fan and you want to be a part of the ride here with me, of basically just riding the Zcash wave, let me know. Put in the comment section below, and make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any future videos from myself. Catch you guys in the next video. Peace.